It's time for Declare Your Independence with Ernest Hancock.
Yeah! Just a talk show out of Phoenix on LRN.FM. Oh, by the way, BTW, Ian Freeman of Free Talk Live is in jail. Jail. This has been dragging out for a long time. What happened is that there was an incident. You know, it's always the big bad guys hauling off good guys because they're not towing the line, respecting authority, whatever. Well, Ian stood in front of the officer's car. He's like, hey, man, run me over, buddy. He just felt an injustice or whatever. Well, no, heck no. You know what? You might as well just drew the sword on the king's man. Well, they arrested or charged him with whatever, standing in front of a policeman's car doing, pick your poison. So they charged him. It went through. He was convicted, appeal on about 90 days. 90 days into pokey. So, I know Ian. I mean, he'll do the time. He'll come out, being okay. He'll have his I did time stripes, and, but I tell you what, sitting 3 months in jail is ungood. So, we got to do what we can to try and, entertain him and keep his time there as, so he remains his sanity and comes out at least as good, if not better, than when he went in. So we'll go ahead and get on Freedom's Phoenix and find how we can send you, because you're going to need his inmate number and the address of where he's at and how and what people can visit and the list and all. We'll get all that information from Mark, and we'll go ahead and make sure that you have that. And I think Jason Talley, something, he has a bunch of stuff on it. We'll get the information out. Now, we put it up on Freedom's Phoenix, but we want to make sure that you know that Ian, hey, when somebody's hauling me off for nothing, it's always nice to know that you got someone like Ian Freeman standing in front of the car to at least to bring attention. Now, of course, all that attention went to him. And they're going after him. Lord knows what happened to the person that got arrested. Probably let them go. Later it's kind of slap on the wrist shit and do, but you're not allowed to step in front of the car and stop, and we're going to go the gulag. So, thanks, Ian, for standing up for freedom, and sometimes, it cost you. But we'll make sure that, you come out ahead on this thing. Know what I mean? And we're going to do what we can to help Ian. So go ahead and pay attention. Go to freekeen.com, freekeen.com, and I'm sure they got a lot of information on there. Just Google Ian Freeman, Free Talk Live. Go to freetalklive.com, and you'll find out what's going on. You probably know more than me in 5 minutes. But I tell you, that happened yesterday, and while we were on the show, we didn't know about it. I want to make sure we get this out. Because, I don't think there's going to be any end anytime soon, good guys getting arrested. One of the good guys we got on here, Stuart Vener. Now, Stuart with realtycrisis.com, and it's a method by which you can free yourself from the man coming after you. You're going to lose your home. Well, you just want to make sure that, all the paperwork and any tax responsibility and any liability and things like your homeowners association fee, all this kind of stuff goes away right after you talk to Stuart at realtycrisis.com. But being in that industry, and he started this back in California when they had an earthquake and all this kind of stuff, and prices went down and people were in the same situation they are now, and he saw a market niche to where he could take care and help people with this kind of problem. And now that the banks are just being, bad guys, well, he's like, oh, yeah, well, I can help you. Now, let's go ahead, and I gave you a commercial there, Stuart, but what I need from you is, where are the banks now? They're finding, the stock market up, down, up. I mean, they're in trouble. So Bank of America, it looks like it's taking a big, giant hit, and they were thinking they were the big boys, too big to fail. Are they still too big to fail? Are they going to bail them out? What's going on with Bank of America and friends?
I sure hope we don't do any more of these bailouts, and I don't think anyone's too big to fail. Bank of America's biggest mistake was they bought that garbage portfolio from Countrywide, and they thought they'd make a big killing. Well, they did make money, because they're selling stock, and that's what these banks did. They bought this big portfolio that they could package as mortgage-backed securities and sell on Wall Street. And that's what all these banks did. It was all greed.
Yeah.
And they're in trouble. They're in trouble.
So where are they at now? What's going... When you have... my wife asked me this morning, and I didn't have a really good answer for her. She goes, so what? Bank of America's stock went down to nothing. And how does that affect them? What do they care? Did they own the stock? They didn't own the stock? How does that affect them?
Well, what has happened is, they received all these TARP funds, like all these major banks have done. And the TARP funds, from what my understanding is, they were a preferred creditor. And, they don't meet the solvency test, these big banks, like the little banks that can take. So what they've done is they've taken these preferred shares and converted it to common shares, and they've actually taken a liability and turned it into an asset. So it's a game of smoke and mirrors. Well,
someday this just falls apart. I mean, here we have what's going on in Europe has a big impact here, and there's a lot of reasons why. But we hear that they are starting to think about doing what they did a couple of years ago. The people that are selling the financial short, they go, there's no way they're going to be able to sustain this. And I know there's a lot of these people. They're just like, look, man, we'll hold out and hold out and hold out and hold. Sooner or later, it's going to take a dump. It did, and they say, ooh, look how much money we made. Now, in Spain and France and so on, they're talking about not allowing short sales. They're going, no. We know it's going to go. So what? We're going to make a new rule that you can't make money when it goes down by betting it's going to go down and you're not allowed anymore. And I'm preemptively, before it even happened, something we don't know. And I'm going, wow, that seems like this. They talk about contagion. What's happening in Europe is so the banks, the European banks, central banks, and the Fed and so on are so intertwined that it's like they even got reverse back and forth loaning of each other, whatever, and it seems like the entire thing is ready to fall. And it's not based on anything. I'm wondering why it's been held up so long. Help me with that. What has given this support and it go up to 12,000, whatever, on the Dow anyway? What was holding it up there? What made that happen?
Well, again, it's all a game of smoke and mirrors. I mean, Germany just bailed out a number of countries. They've bailed them out to the tune of 1.5 times their entire gross national product. I mean, it's a mess there. And we have a president that said he was going to make us more like Europe, and I think that's what he's done. We're not as bad as them yet because we're still Americans, but we're headed that way if we don't do something to change it.
Head in what way? What do we have to look forward to? In your industry, you're seeing more foreclosures, less? Are they ramping it up? Are the prices going down? Short selling happening more? Tell me about your niche, man. What's going on?
There is no recovery, not in any near sight. They can artificially manipulate it by keeping foreclosed homes off of the market rather than flood it. But they're out there. There's 4 million homes sitting out there, either foreclosed or in the process of foreclosures, and more coming. And the values, it would normally be, when I was in the mortgage business, if you'd have a foreclosure in the neighborhood, the appraiser would make a note of it, but it would be an exception, and they wouldn't use it to consider value. Today, it's the norm. So prices are going to stay down, and I think they're going to even dip a little more. But like your daughter, it's a great time to buy a piece of property to live in or for the long term, but not to flip. Those days are over.
Yeah, no, the interest rates are low now, and the price is low now. And when we come back, I want to find out what's going to happen with the interest rates. Are they destined to go up? I mean, this happened when we went through this kind of thing, and inflation of the dollar after the Carter administration. It's early Reagan. Volcker comes in, and boom, interest rates went through the roof. Well, a lot of people are expecting that to happen again if they're going to save the dollar, but maybe they don't want to save the dollar. Something else is going on. And, Stuart Vener, he's right there up against it in the housing. We'll find out.